Hey guys, today we're going to be talking all about the DJI Mavic Mini, helping you get set up for the first time, downloading all of that information from my brain to let you guys know how to set it up, how to fly it, the best settings you can get, how to edit the footage to make it look good. You're going to learn everything about the DJI Mavic Mini today, and it's going to be a great ride. We're going to fly like a bird in the sky.
Like me, love me, touch me right there. Yeah. I am stepping in the light, into the bright air. Yeah. You got my knees weak, my body out of control. You know I'll give you everything you ever want. You got my knees weak, my body out of control. I want you all to myself. Oh, and it's nothing like I never felt this before. I never felt this before. I never felt this before.
I'm going to start it off at this angle, and I'm going to slowly, because I've given myself a lot of distance between us and the drone, I'm going to do a nice little pan here like that and get a nice look at that beautiful rotation, movement coming in. Looks gorgeous, beautiful sky. All right, first up, we're going to show you what is in the box. This right here is the DJI Mavic Mini Fly More Combo Pack. Got this guy from eBay, and I gotta say, I'm very impressed that it's completely sealed up even when I unwrapped it. One thing you want to note of is the serial number is right there, so make sure that corresponds to the serial number on the actual device. Warning, you need to be 16 plus to use this fella, and it says right there, look at this amazingness, works with Final Cut Pro and Mac. Also, DJI Care Refresh, we're going to be getting this because this gives you 1 year of accidental damage replacement, and since this guy has no sensors, it's going to get damaged, guaranteed. Australian Government Edition, flying with control, get to know the rules. You must not fly closer than 30 meters to vehicles, boats, people. There you go, you get these gigantic propeller guards you can sell on eBay straight away. One thing I gotta say is you get propeller guards with the Flyborne combo pack. One thing about it is, inside most countries, the law says if your drone is over 250 grams, you gotta register it, and the laws are coming in about next year. So remember, if you are using the propeller guards, don't, because that will make your drone weigh over 250 grams, which means you have to register it. You can fly it around inside, have a bit of fun, bash it around, but just note about that. Here is the beautiful battery pack. This is the Australian charger. All the beautiful manuals that you guys will probably never read. Next up, it is the magic box. This is what you've been waiting for. Well, I've been waiting for. Boom, oh my God. Something you just can't appreciate actually. It is so frigging tiny. This is a joke. This has to be, it's okay, slightly bigger than a battery. This is a charger, slightly bigger than a charger. Look at this gigantic phone. It is smaller than a Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus. Wow. And it also feels lighter, is that right? Look at that, it opens up like this. There is a seal on this, so I'm just gonna unwrap it there, get rid of the tags. It feels so flimsy, like I'm sure it's gonna fly well, but it feels exactly like a toy. Look how small it is. You got these little tags everywhere. Let's get rid of it all. Be careful with taking off this tag because you can easily rip out the battery door. And unlike other DJI Mavic drones, these propellers, they're actually screwed in. So it's harder to replace, but to be honest with you, I've actually never replaced a propeller in my drones ever. So as long as you don't crash it, you should be happy. And let's get rid of this lid. Oh, there it is, look at that. Gorgeous little tiny drone. And I gotta say one thing. So previously on the DJI Mavic Pro Platinum, it had this dual system to lock it into place, the helmet, the camera into place, whereas this one, it just seems like it's just one protector. It's still fiddly to put on, but it's less fiddly than the previous ones. I gotta say, I'm a bit shocked about how flimsy it feels. I'm gonna be excited to see how it flies. Now this is the beast mode remote. No longer has an LCD display. no longer has information, just purely has lights. And there is no control to remote. Oh, I don't want to turn it on, but there you go. So the handles are stored here. Just take it out like that. And I guess you screw it in just like that. Very simple, very easy, compact, folds away. That was pretty quick and easy. Let's see the size. Will it fit my phone? This is a Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus. My previous one really struggled with this phone, and it looks like this one's also going to struggle. And it fits just well, although I think with the cable we're really going to struggle with this device. Now, this is openable. You just need to push at it, and it says right there, it's got nice instructions. You turn this one this way, and this one is turned this way, so they're opposite to each other. So next up, you get spare propellers and screws to apply the propellers. This is the battery charger, and finally we've got a spare set of handles for the remote. You've got a USB cable to charge. This is micro USB to USB-A. You've got a screwdriver to help replace the propellers. You've got a second USB cable as well. And lastly, you've got the control cables. So you get 3 different cables. One's for iPhone, one's for newer Android devices, and one's for older micro USB Android devices. So you're pretty much set for this configuration. For me, I'm going to be using this one to start off the show because mine's a USB-C, so it clocks into place just like that. And this bit's a bit fiddly, but you pretty much just have to balance it over here and hope for the best. But as you can see, it's not really stable, this remote. It's always just floating around there. To plug in your phone, you kind of have to shove it or get a smaller phone. Don't use a Samsung Galaxy Note or an iPhone XS Max. All right, this is the best configuration I can find. I've got this little bit hanging off the edge of the left and this bit on the right, and I've pretty much got a nice visual display over here, and that's how to set up the remote. Unfortunately, it's not the best because the power button of the remote is over there. So yeah, it's not ideal, this remote for bigger phones, but it is what it is. So there you have it. That is the Fly More combo pack. Look at the size of my phone. It's bigger than the drone. Now we can talk about setting up this drone, and this drone is freaking, it feels flimsy AF. It feels so light. And when I say flimsy, I mean it feels flimsy. It does fly. It does do a great job. It does film. The gimbal stays very solid in the sky, but it feels flimsy AF. Like the battery door, you kind of like clip it like that and it unclips. So there's no like button you press to unhook it. It feels like with a gust of wind, it could potentially blow it out. So just be careful when handling this guy. Even taking off this lid, it's an awkward situation. You're gonna get used to it. I like to keep my gimbal straight when putting it back on, because my first DJI, again, Mavic Pro, it had gimbal issues and I had to get sent off for repair. This system is a lot better because it's only one piece. Previously you had a clip before and a clip on top, so this is a lot easier to set up. Just be careful with handling it because I've got this guy brand new. I feel like it's flimsy. If I wear and tear it, I don't think it's gonna last. And this is the charging pack. So you simply just place the batteries inside there. You got this USB mini one, goes in right over there, and this cable goes right there. Easy as, just like charging a phone, and they should start lining up and charging. Now regarding charging the battery, you can charge it inside the drone itself by plugging it in around the back, or you can use the triple battery pack, which you get with the DJI Fly More combo pack. And just like that, each battery will start charging up one by one, so it will automatically fill up the batteries depending on which one is the fullest, so that way you always have a maximum capacity battery filled up as quickly as possible. Except one thing to be aware of, or a couple of things to be aware of. Use a good cable. So the cable that is provided by DJI, that's a good one. However, I tried using another one that came with my Chromecast. I originally tried charging my batteries with a cable I got from a Chromecast, and it was taking forever to charge up. So just make sure you use a good cable and not a bad one. It was a long one. It didn't work too well. It was taking forever to charge the battery. So your battery should take around 2 hours to charge. But if it's taking longer than that, check your cable, make sure it's right. One thing I say about the batteries, don't just leave it constantly plugged in, recharging. What I recommend you do is charge them up overnight when you're planning to use them for the next day. And don't leave them constantly charged in because, again, with my previous drone, I left that guy constantly charged in and one of the batteries just failed within about a year. So my advice, don't leave them constantly charged in. Another thing to be aware of is if you are traveling with your drone, batteries, get yourself a LiPo bag. This guy is made to reduce the chances of bad stuff happening. When bad stuff happens to batteries, batteries can, explode. They can get set on fire. Keep your batteries inside one of these bags. Be safe when traveling. And finally, be aware, batteries are only warranted for around 6 months, which means DJI know that they can get damaged and issues can happen with them. My previous DJI Mavic Pro Platinum, my battery, it died after about a year's usage. The drone just said I refused to fly with it. It was something up with the voltage. And even in the flight I'm going to show you today, my drone, towards the end of the flight, it said there was something up with the voltage and it just had to land. In 10 seconds, you just have to land wherever it is. I'm going to get into that into the flying section and how to be safe, but just be aware, have multiple batteries because sometimes, the 30-minute flight, which it says it can fly, isn't really 30 minutes because it's only 21 minutes of actually flying and 9 minutes of it beeping the hell, telling you need to land. And if you fly in sports mode, the faster mode to combat the wind, it's going to be less, about 20 minutes total flight time, which means 50 minutes flight times, 5 minutes warning time. Don't worry, we're going to get into that in a bit, but that's the battery situation. And to take out the battery, you push this button inwards and pull up like that. Bit fiddly as usual. Yeah, it's a bit fiddly, but you get the hang of it. It's not a deal breaker. And slot the battery in, it's pretty simple. You just slot it in. There's only one way you can go, and just like that. And now, lock the door in, and your drone should be ready to connect. And to charge the remote, you use this port over here, and you simply just plug it in, just like before, but just making sure that you put it in the right way. So it's with the shorter side at the top and the longer side at the bottom, just like that. And the indicator will start lighting up to show you that it is being charged. Now we're going to talk about the app. You get an app, DJI Fly app, straight through the app stores, getting you ready to go. It's actually got a great tutorial. It's got some nice screens showing you how to use it. So to connect to the drone, you'll need an app called DJI Fly. So just install that from Google Play or the iOS App Store. And it requires photo permission, location permission. Yep, lots of stuff, privacy stuff, agree. And then DJI collects the following information. So we need this one for device activation. So pretty much they're all required if you want a happy app. Do you want to use the product improvement program? Personally, I skip it. And now it's time to log in or register. Turning on this fella is a bit tricky. The first time I had my DJI Phantom 4, I was confused AF. I didn't know how to turn it on. You don't just hold this down. You don't just press it. Pressing it just gives you a couple of lights. You gotta tap it and then tap it again and hold it down. Then the 4 lights come on and then it turns on. Same thing with the remote. So just double tap and hold down on the second press, just like this one. And do the same way to turn it off. All right, now it's time to connect the drone. So what I'm gonna do is insert SD card and it gives you a little visual indication of which direction it goes, and it's this way. You got to use a fingernail for this one and click it into place. The SD card I use is a SanDisk Extreme. Pretty much just look out for a U3 logo or an A1 or A2, and that means it's a solid card. You can use other ones and they probably will work on this one as it's only a full HD kind of camera, 2.7K, but that's the one I use. And you don't need to pre-format it because in the app you'll be able to do that. Next up, I'll plug in my phone. Guess lock this one in first, then slot it in, and then kind of like fudge it so it kind of like flops into place. Then watch it turn off. And there you have it, it's on. I'm going to turn on the controller now. So you tap once to see the battery indicator and then tap once and tap longer. And then it turns on and starts to connect. That's the flashing lights. Over on the drone, around the bottom, you can do the same sort of function. Tap once to see the battery level and then tap once and tap again, holding down. And that starts it up. On Android, you get prompted if you want to always open up this app whenever the controller is connected. I always tick that, so that way whenever I plug in the phone to the remote, it will straight away launch the application. So straight away, the first thing we see is that we need to activate our Mavic Mini. So I'm just gonna read all of that to find out about all the cool stuff. So my Mini is now being activated. I've already gone ahead and activated my DJI Care to have extra accidental damage protection on this one. Aircraft resetting wireless network settings to match local laws and regulations. Wait and connect again later. Aircraft activated. So there it is. We've got a couple of sections to look at. This is the album where all of our pictures will be saved to, as well as the main gallery. You got Sky Pixel. To be honest, I never use this section. My recommendation to do once you've got the app, go through the firmware and Fly More database, update that, make sure you're on the latest version. For me, I was naturally on the latest version because I just got this brand new and it just was recently released. But by the time you're watching this video, maybe you're in the future and you got some updates, make sure you're on the latest update. Hopefully, if any issues had occurred, they would have ironed it out in future updates. Profile, you get to find your drone, see how much hours you spent on the drone. Here we can check for firmware updates, update our FlySafe database, and privacy. I guess we can disable these ones now if we choose to. So the one I'm gonna do, check for FlySafe database updates, up to date, and then check for firmware updates. Currently right now it says it can't reach a server, so I assume we are good. Also, something I recommend is check the app the day before you plan on flying, because in some cases there was a critical update and it said you had to install this update before flying. This is on my previous drones, and updating can take about 10-20 minutes and it will eat up your battery cycles. So if you are planning to go on any missions, check the app, make sure you're up to date, and then fly the next day. So you hit the go fly button and it takes you into the camera view, and you can see me right there. This is my drone. Yo. It's a bit very sluggish to sync up, gotta say. Maybe there's too much interference in this room. Now we're gonna go through the settings inside the application, and there's a couple of critical settings I'd say change straight away. And one is the return to home altitude. So by default, the return to home altitude is the height. It will come back to you when it needs to come back to you, and it's by default 30 meters. That's a bit too low in the ground for me because I've crashed my drones previously. I've landed them on a tree. Trees are your biggest enemies, and these guys, they do not have any front or back or side sensors. So when they're returning to home, they are blind as a mouse. They'll hit whatever is hitting. I like to fly as high as possible. That way I avoid all the objects, and that's about 120 meters. One thing I'd say about this drone, because it's so small, it is hard to spot in the sky, and that goes on with the next issue I'm gonna say is, and you get to choose the maximum distance you fly the drone. By default is 2,000. You gotta be Superman to see it at 2,000 meters, or just, actually I can't see it. I can't see it at 2,000. The most I can see it is around 500 meters. You can use the map to correlate and all that kind of stuff, but the hardest part is when you're looking at it, you see it, but once you look away and then try looking back, unless the skies are completely clear, it's hard to lock in and find it again. So for me, it's around 500 meters the most when it's clear blue skies. So probably for you guys, if you're starting out, put yourself a hard limit of 200 meters and then grow out to 500 to give you a little play area, but do not do that 2,000. And furthermore, when it comes into the bad stuff that will happen to you, and it happened to me, and it's gonna be in this video, when you have to just do an emergency landing, if you're that far away, you're not gonna know where the hell you're landing, and it's gonna get lost. So my advice to you, especially when you're starting out, keep it at 200 meters, expand to 500 when you get a bit confident, but don't go further than 500. That is just asking for trouble. And in most countries, it is against the law. You have to have a line of sight vision to your drone, so be aware of that. I'm gonna go through the menus now. So the maximum distance, it's set for flight protection, it's 2,000 meters. You can extend that all the way to no limit. But as a newbie, it's good to have a little bit of a range control, so when you get excited, it tells you don't go too much. Return to home altitude, I always increase this to the maximum. Because this device has no sensors, you want it to avoid as many obstacles as possible. So the maximum one makes it fly further up in the sky, and that usually avoids most potential obstacles. Compass is normal, IMU is normal, and you can also calibrate them if you have any issues. So emergency propeller stop, if you shoot these two down here or to the right, it will emergency stop the blades on the Mini, so just be careful about doing that motion. That's something to be aware of. Right now I'm in position, metric units, gimbal mode, follow mode. FPV means you're flying like a bird. Follow mode is the best one for me. You get different options of controlling the stick. I like mode 2. I'll show you how to use that one. It's very easy. And you can calibrate the remote and have a flight tutorial. Camera, you get to choose if you want to do 4x3 or 16x9. 4x3 gets you a bigger picture of the view. So you can see here all the way to the left, you can see my NAS drive and my poker chips. And on the bottom, you can see I'm wearing shorts and the bottom of my shirt and my chains up here on the top. Whereas if you do 16x9, it just crops in and you can no longer see my shorts. You still get the width, but you no longer get the height. So if you want to get the most picture, 4x3 is probably the best. SD card, it's always a good idea to format your SD card when you're first starting out. Advanced settings, you can get histogram. Overexposure warning, that's probably a good one because it tells you if it's too bright. That enables me to see what part of the footage is overblown. You can always boost up the brightness in post. If you use Final Cut Pro, that kind of stuff, you can make it brighter and you're good as a good person can be. However, if you shoot it too bright, you can never recover the details back. So this is exposure compensation and exposure lock. Sometimes I find that the scene's too dark or too bright. So if you make it maybe -1, you can always have a solid exposure and you can always brighten it up in post in like Final Cut applications like that. Personally, I always like setting the exposure compensation to -1. That keeps me very safe and protected most of the times. However, I'll get into that when it comes to the editing and I'll show you the footage and how it looks like. Anti-flicker is if you see flickering on the screen with certain light conditions. Cache when recording means it will save a low quality stream onto your actual mobile device while it's out there and flying. I personally have that at 16 gigabytes because I want to record as much as possible. And when the cache is reached, the old files are deleted automatically. But you do want to get the best quality footage out of the Mavic via the SD card at the end of your show. Transmission, we're right now using 5.8. 5.8 is a shorter distance frequency, but it's less noisy because most Wi-Fi is at 2.4, it travels further. But if you set it to auto, it'll automatically pick the best channel and get the best signal for you. Finally, you can check for firmware updates here. Fly safe database updates there. So that's pretty easy settings to go through. So we're gonna get into the video stuff. So you can switch between photo and video mode. Photo allows you to record 16:9 as well as 4:3. 4:3 gets you more of the footage, so switch to 4:3 when taking photos. However, 16:9 is for video, and for video, the first thing to do is switch it to 2.7K. Okay, with 1080p, you can go 60 frames a second, but 2.7K gives you extra space to get good quality footage because you can crop in and make the shot a lot better. And if you need to stabilize, you can do that sort of stuff. So 2.7K, 30 frames a second. Beautiful, the quality is actually really good. And again, the exposure settings on the bottom right, press that on the remote and you can make it slightly darker and slightly increase it. But out of the box, it just works and it looks pretty good. Next up I want to show you is video mode, which is the best mode to go through. And if you see right there, this is photo mode. You get a wide view and you can see the stripes means it's slight overexposure being detected on my screen. But if we go into video mode here, it crops in ever so slightly and you get to choose between, at 1080p, you can go all the way to 60 frames a second, so you can get some nice fluid shots. But 2.7K is what you want to use. I use 30 frames a second because it gives me slightly more frames to play with. And 2.7K, and really there's nothing else to pick in this scene. That's really interesting. So previously you had a lot more options, but it seems like all you can pick is 2.7K and 30 FPS. Now when you're recording video, you can't set the size of the camera. So even if you would have selected 4:3, it crops into 16:9 when doing video. It only allows you to do 4:3 if you're taking photos. So I'd probably set it to 4:3 to get the full picture that you can modify later. But for video, you don't need to worry about that. 2.7K, 30 frames a second. Finally, these are some nice important buttons to look out for. So this is exposure compensation and exposure lock. Sometimes I find that the scene's too dark or too bright. So if you make it maybe -1, you can always have a solid exposure and you can always brighten it up in post in like Final Cut applications like that. Whereas for starters, you can keep it at 0 and everything will be happy. If you're doing complicated captures, you can also lock in the exposure so that way it doesn't vary dramatically when you're trying to record. But for now, we're going to keep it automatic. And we've got several different modes. We got C, P and S. S is for sport mode, for high speed. If you're struggling against the wind, S mode's the best. C mode gets it really slow to get cinematic. And P is regular. So right now we've got no deep GPS coverage because I am indoors. We got our battery levels on the top right. Connection. So that's it, our drone is set up. And I guess right now I'll just quickly show you the remotes, how to launch it. So if you tap these 2 buttons,
Take off.
it allows you to whir up the engines. And then you press this one to go up. It is pretty noisy, but this one goes up, this one goes down. It also rotates left and right. This one goes forwards, and this one goes back, and also goes left and right. At the back, you have this button here, and that allows you to change the camera view. So I'm pointing downwards. And up. And on the left, you can quickly take a video, and on the right, you can quickly take a photo. And to land, you just push down on the controller. So now we're going to talk about what you need to know before you fly the drone, and the first thing you need to know is insurance. So there's something called DJI Care, I talked about it a little bit earlier, but it gives you 2 accidental damage claims. If you damage the drone by accident, you are covered still by a 1-year warranty. So if it's not accidental damage and there's an issue, they will replace it for you without claiming that accidental damage. There is a little cost to a replacement, but it's very, very minor. For me in Australia, it's only $59 to insure it for a year. And the good thing about getting DJI Care is if you only crash it at least once, you can extend it for a 2nd year. You can't extend it for a 3rd year, but just a 2nd year. So try not to crash it too many times under accidental damage and you'll be good. Furthermore, public liability insurance. If you do any damage to someone else, like, I don't know, crash into a tree in a private house and the owner of that tree says, hey, you need to replace my tree, they can come and they can sue you. So there's something called public liability insurance that you should get to protect yourself in case of any claims. Personally, there is hobbyist societies out there for model aircrafts. The BMFA over in the UK, they give you £10 million worth of public liability insurance. So you're safe over there. In Australia, you can get the AMAS, they give you $20 million. You want to crash one of those, crash into your mate's house, make a claim, you're rich. Don't do that. I'm joking. Don't do that. Don't do that. The good guys, I personally, thankfully, have never had to use that service, but just be aware, just protect yourself. Why not? It's very cheap, like £50 a year, $50 a year, and you're set. All right, so to get DJI Care in the comment section, I got a link straight to it. Click on that. And you're taken directly to the page you need to get to. And it's the first one right here, DJI Care Refresh, only 59 Australian dollars. Guaranteed safety for a year. Well, not safety, accidental insurance. So they also do price matching with anyone else that shows DJI Care Refresh. So I'm just gonna click shop now and you enter in your serial number right there. It needs to either be brand new unactivated or activated within the last 48 hours or repaired by a service center within the last 72 hours of receiving the invite. If you do that, you're safe. But I'm gonna just buy it right from the start because, you know, I wanna be safe. Some little bits about the law. Don't fly at night. You can't see it. I mean, some countries allow you to fly at night as long as you have some amazing lights and all that stuff, but just don't fly at night or check your local laws about it. If there's a low flying plane or a helicopter, land your drone, give way to that helicopter. You don't want to risk any damage to the helicopter, and it's again against drone laws. Can only go 120 meters off the ground level, and it's a moving ground level. So 120 meters from this part and then 120 meters from this part. So you can go more than 120 meters of where you are in the world because it's 120 meters down from wherever the drone is. So go down if you're too high, Just always follow the ground level. And you have to fly at least 30 meters away from people who aren't part of your enjoyment of the world. So don't fly too close to other people. Don't go to sporting events. Don't go to events in general. You can fly over empty stadiums, that kind of stuff. But during events, you usually get harassed by security if you try flying the drone anyway, but you're not recommended. And 30 meters away from people, don't harass them, don't annoy them. Be a good citizen. Now, maximum distance, we already talked about that. I suggest 200 meters, but just check your eyesight. And I recommend toning down from 2,000 meters. Legally, it's more about you have to keep line of sight visible, your eyes, not binoculars, to the drone, and that is the law. So it depends on how good of a Superman 2020 vision you have. Follow that. Next up, there's an app, a flight checking app. Now, DJI Drone, they give you some sort of warnings if you're in a no-fly zone area. However, there's an app called Open Sky. It'll tell you where all the airports are. It'll tell you where all the helicopter helipads are. And usually it'll tell you you can't fly anywhere, but just double check in the warning area, because sometimes it's just saying, hey, this is close to a helipad. So if you see a helicopter or a low-flying plane, land your drone. You can still fly there if you don't see one. And it also tell you, hey, this is an airport, don't fly near there. So there's reds and then there's yellow. Usually you'll see most areas as yellow. Yellow usually means just double check if there's any obstacles in the way, such as a helicopter. Okay, that's a lot of stuff, but there's one more thing to do. This drone, it only goes 29 miles per hour, and that's around 11 miles per hour less than the DJI Mavic Pro. And over here, we get gusts of wind by the beach, the ocean, all that kind of stuff. The weather can change, so check the weather. Make sure that the weather is not more than 29 miles per hour. Gusts of winds, all that stuff, because in bad weather, even on sports mode, it can get stuck. And I'm going to show you what happened to me. What happened to me was when I was flying this, going against the wind, it was traveling at 2 meters a second. It came to a standstill. It was trying its hardest and the battery was dying. So I had to perform an emergency landing because it couldn't fly closer to me against the wind. So and these gusts of winds come out of nowhere. I checked the weather that day, but I was unlucky. But usually you want to fly on a good weather day. Don't risk it, especially with this low power drone. It does do a good job, but it's low power compared to the previous Phantom 4 and Mavic. So don't fly in aggressive winds, check your weather, and you'll be happy. One of the best features about this tiny drone is that it really impresses the ladies.
Wow, it's so small. Oh my gosh, is this real? Is this actually a drone? Like, for real? I feel like I could chuck it, it's so tiny. It is so small. Does this really take pictures? Like, I can't believe that. How is this gonna stand the wind? That's what I wanna know. I feel like this is one of those mini models. You know when you sometimes get like a mini car just to put on your shelf? This feels like a mini model of a drone, just for advertising purposes. It's like a toy. This is seriously unreal. Just can't wait to see what this looks like when it's flying in the air. Come on, let's go fly it.
Like me, love me, touch me right there. Yeah. I am stepping in the light, into the bright air. Yeah. You got my knees weak, my body out of control. You know I'll give you everything you ever want. You got my knees weak, my body out of control. I want you all to myself. Oh, and it's nothing like I never felt this before. I never felt this before. I never felt this before.
All right, we're at the beautiful sea, the ocean breeze. We've got this little baby drone. Just undo it, unclip it. I'm gonna turn it on straight away. Thanks to Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus, they put the power button there, bit inconvenient. So it's asking me some questions before I start. Just hit that close button there and we're good. So I'm going to be tapping here, take off, holding that. So it's surviving on this wind. It's going up on its own. Let's see. Able to move it. That's a bit nice. It's flying well on this wind. So I guess now let's just see how good it can go. Facing it straight to the beach. I'm gonna get it to go up in the sky. And there's a tutorial right on my screen.
Control aircraft to turn left.
So I exited the tutorial. So now I'm free to fly. I'm up right now, 24, 25, 26, 20, 30 meters in the sky. The beautiful ocean looks gorgeous. It's right above me. So I'm gonna hit the forward button and let it rip. Just doing a nice pan of the ocean. Look at that beautiful skyscrapers. Look at that gorgeousness. Look at that right there. You see this beautiful skyline, beautiful buildings. Look at that beautiful ocean. Just looks gorgeous. Gonna get it to do a nice flyby over the ground. Look at that. Flying in the air. So currently right now, it's flying about 8 meters a second. So I'm gonna switch over to S mode. S mode means high speed mode. It means it can travel a lot faster. So right now at high speed mode, this is going 13 meters. And it's kind of breaking up the signal already. So I'm gonna point it towards me. It's caught up. That was a crazy motion. So it's caught up. And distance, we're about 200 meters away, flying along the ocean. It's about 4 meters a second, heading north. That's against the wind. So getting around 6 meters a second and forward into the ocean. It's a nice bit of speed there. We're getting 8 meters a second. So it goes a lot faster when you hit on the sports mode. And now I'm heading west and we can see we're flying towards the skyscrapers and it looks beautiful. So we are actually getting some nice control here. Just gonna fire up the map so we can see where we are. And there is the map. And the great thing about the map, you can see that it's directly in front of us right now. So you can see it right there, hovering in the sky. So if you just hold it, that beautiful view in a little while. It might seem boring at first, but after recording a video, you can do a time lapse and it will look beautiful. So I'm just gonna now hit the record button because I wasn't recording all this time, and I'm gonna do some nice motions for you. So first I'm gonna hit the forward stick to go forward. I'm just gonna be a nice flying motion. And usually what I do here is I point the camera down a bit like that so get beautiful waves. Look at that, just getting some nice beautiful waves right in front of me. Seeing it, it's traveling. You see it right there, just flying up in the sky, just over there. And right now we're about 100 meters away from me. I'm panning up slowly by holding in the left, this one over here. So you can pan down the camera and pan up the camera. So I'm just panning up slowly as I'm moving forward to give a nice little epic view. Another trick you can do is if you fly out into the ocean a bit, give yourself a bit of distance. I'm gonna start off this angle and then I'm gonna slowly, because I've given myself a lot of distance between us and the drone, I'm gonna do a nice little pan here like that and get a nice, look at that beautiful rotation, movement, coming in, looks gorgeous, beautiful sky. And it's pretty much holding up well, about 250 meters away from me. You can see where I am in the map there. And now I'm heading back towards me. The problem is we're going too far is, because it's so small, you lose sight of it. So I'm not gonna go any further now, but instead I'm gonna show you this beautiful building. And that's the beautiful jewel over there. Give you some nice perspective of what it looks like. So look at this, I'm gonna climb up high and look at this gorgeous building. I'm just gonna go very slowly up in the sky. Look how gorgeous it looks. That means that the background's overexposed. So if I wanted to, I can lower the exposure setting to -1 and lock it in. That way I can see more of the sky and just look at this beautiful building. Just look at it and go all the way 120 meters in the sky. Look at that beautiful sun. This building's fantastic. It's called the Jewel Gold Coast, and this is the highest we can go, 120 meters, and we can just do a nice little pan down. Just look at this beautiful, gorgeous structure and just have a bit of fun with the world. So I'm just currently flying it along this beautiful coast, endless coast, 300 meters away, and the battery is now officially low, so it's gonna start heading home. We're about 31% battery life. Flight time is officially 30 minutes, that's on P mode. However, on S mode, it's around 20 minutes. And for 20% of that 20 minutes, so 5 minutes and 11 minutes, it's gonna be beeping, beep, 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 you must land. So flight time isn't 30 minutes, it's more like 20 minutes or 15 minutes if you're in S mode. Don't let it get too far away. And things can go wrong. So I gotta say, I'm impressed. This little toy is doing well in this strong wind conditions. It's not that strong, but it says strong wind from the start. Obviously, when you're by the ocean, the winds get pretty heavy. And I'm just coming back. It says battery cells under voltage, replace the battery. 11% battery life. This one might come in for a crash landing. I'm trying, but the battery's dying. Can you pick up the stuff and we'll head towards. So one, again, crashing into trees is your biggest issue. And if it's a long tree, happened to me, you're gonna have to not call the fire brigade. That is emergency services. You have to call someone called a tree arborist. They have, what's it, a tree picker? A tree picker, yeah, and that can climb up and then, or they'll climb the tree and they'll get the drone for you. It costs a bit of money, so avoid trees where you can. Just curb your excitement. You're gonna get excited, avoid it. Trust me, you don't want the pain and suffering. Avoid it. Control yourself. 200 meters maximum distance, fly around, have a good time, don't risk it. And furthermore, battery death. Now this happened to me when I was around 10% battery. It said something is up with the voltage of the battery. Brad, thank you, new battery. So it had issues from the start. It can happen at any moment, and that's battery death. And once you get that, it will say you have 10 seconds to land your drone wherever the hell it is. That's why you should keep close. That's why you should know. Luckily for me, and I was in an open space, so I looked around quickly. I saw a massive open space and I landed it right in the bushes, far away, and then I just quickly ran up and I got it. And you can't fly it, but the lights do still flash, so you can pick it up from the bushes where you landed it. So just be aware, if you have a bad battery, and the bad battery could be a brand spanking new battery like it happened to me, you will have to perform an emergency landing. That's why I say keep your drone always line of sight and be prepared to land at any moment. So just be aware of these risks when flying it. Landed just over here. And it has a nice blinking red light. Still seems good. One thing I say is, so that was it about 15 minutes of flight time? So it's not half an hour. It's I guess at most 20 minutes. But yeah, it seems pretty solid. What I recommend is, don't let it get to 20% battery life. Head back at 30% or 50% even. Actually, it depends on the conditions, because it was really struggling coming back to me against the wind. So I've got a southerly blowing wind. So against the wind, it was only going 2 meters a second. So yeah, just it's a great drone, but keep it close to you. All right, just got back from the crazy outside world. So what I'm gonna do, just to get rid of any potential particles, especially after that landing, is and just give it a nice little dust. Kind of compressed air, amazing. Just be careful around this guy, but just generally, not that I can see anything, but it's always good for me anyway. But once you fly it, is beautiful. The footage, honestly, I was very impressed. 2.7K looks gorgeous, almost as gorgeous, actually as gorgeous as my previous drone. And you get the footage out of the SD card, put it in your PC, and you can fire it up on your computer. It's H.264, so it works on most computers. So while your phone does have locally cached copies of the footage, best quality requires you getting the SD card out and plugging it into your beautiful computer. As I use a MacBook Pro, I require a dongle city. So I got this micro SD card reader, just like that, and plug it into my dongle city. So when you plug in the SD card, something like Untitled should appear there. You can always give it a rename. So rename, I'm going to call it DJI. And in DCIM, 100 media, there is your MP4 file. And look at that beautiful, beautiful footage that we were earlier recording. You know, I got to say, it looks gorgeous. Does look gorgeous. Look at the epic sun. Just flows right there. So you can copy that off and have a nice little play with it. It just looks spectacular. Format wise, let's see what it's recorded under. We can see that it is H.264, so it's not the new HDBC, and that's the resolution, 2.7K. What I personally do before importing it is I actually have a script to do this automatically for me, but basically the concept is I rename the files based on the day and the time I took it, and I add in a location, and I also add in an underscore DJI, so that way when I'm searching for it in the future, I can search for DJI, I can search for the date, and I can also search for the location. It really helps me archive my footage a lot easier. And you can import that into Final Cut Pro and make it look gorgeous. Here's a quick lesson on how to make the footage look amazing. So I'm going to start a new project here. I'm going to type in amazing raw footage. And then what I do is I go through the footage and I just cut out any uninteresting parts. So that was a weird jolt that just happened there. So I'm going to put a breaking there. And after the break, I'm going to fast forward it there. And there's a weird breaking in my control. So this is why you want to keep it nice and smooth and steady. So after I've recentered, I've gone a bit crazy here, a different shot. And I just fast forward through the footage. That's a nice one over there. This is a bit crazy, so I'll put some breaks. And I go through and I just cut out the footage of all the nonsense. So I'm left right here with all the cut footage. As you can see, it's flying through different angles, different beautiful shots I can use. And then once I've done that, you save this project and you duplicate it. So you got this raw footage saved. And then once you got that saved, all you do is just take breaks whenever there's a break in the song. So for example, let's get a good part of this song. I'm going to start off here. I'm going to decide maybe this is a good opening. This one here. Here is an opportunity for a break because that's where the music breaks. Now I can do a cut to another scene, or if I press Shift B, I can do a little speed up. So I'm going to fast forward this sequence really fast here, like 4x, and look how this looks like. So it changes the motion there. That one looks like an 8x actually. And it slows down again. It's kind of like lock and pop. So you do that. Put a bit of cuts between the two. See that? Beats by nerves. Transition. Transition. And then you keep on putting transitions through. And then for example here, this footage seems a bit dark. Maybe. Let's find out. So if you go inside the color correction, if you go inside color wheels, this is an amazing interface you can use in Final Cut. You can try brightening up, but as you can see, as you brighten up the scene too much, it removes a bit of the sun, so I don't brighten up that. But you can add the midtones that kind of gives it like a nice bit of colors to it. You can also increase the temperature, change the time of day. So here, look at that. I've just completely changed the look and feel of this. Gonna get rid of that music just to show you. Just by changing the color tone, I can make it different parts of the day. You don't want to be too aggressive by the change, but you can play around with that. Secondly, if, for example, this is dark and this is too bright, you can just make this one a bit darker. And you can even change the temperature to match. So now look at this. Hit play. And it comes in and it's a bit more, this is before over here. Hit play. Before, bit too aggressive, that cut. It seems like a completely different time of day. However, afterwards, transition there. And you kind of just have fun with your sequence and you end up with an amazing, amazing, fun project to play with. So overall, it's a great drone. It's a great toy. It's a lot cheaper than the previous drones. I gotta say, it's very easy to control, very, very stable. The only thing I'd say is don't let it get too far away from you and just don't get too excited when using it. Although you should be, because it's a fun experience, but just follow the safety guides, be prepared to land at any moment, and I hope you guys enjoy flying like a bird in this amazing time called the DJI Mavic Mini. Let me know if you found this video tutorial useful and all the amazing footage you guys record out there. And I hope you guys enjoyed the show.
Empty kaleidoscopic stars, deep in the feeling so bizarre. It doesn't matter who